You better be able to get it up. They made fun of that last guy who was on here that couldn't get it up. They ate him alive. And I was like, well, thanks for the vote of confidence.
Yeah, that's nice to hear.
Yeah, it's all right. I still knocked it out.
All right, Masin.
Yo, what's happening?
Welcome back.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome back. You were one of the most surprisingly interesting people I've interviewed.
Yeah, I thought, thank you for saying that. I thought I was going to be hated because of my job. And I was actually really surprised and welcomed by all the positive comments I got from your audience.
Well, I think your personality is so likable.
Oh, thank you.
And you're so open and just honest about your crazy lifestyle.
Just be yourself, man.
And you had some great stories.
They have the saying that like, don't be afraid to be your true self because you never know who you might meet or something like that. So you be yourself, you're going to attract people that you're honestly supposed to be in your life. Something like that.
Before we get into this, there was one question that everyone wished I had asked you last time, or wished you would clarify. There was one type of party that you did, healthcare thing or something like that.
Hospice parties.
Oh yeah, hospice party.
Yeah.
So hospice party. Tell me what a hospice party is.
So back in my earlier 20s when I first started dancing in Las Vegas, or stripping rather, for Sin City strippers, we get house calls a lot because you get a lot of locals, And I think I was maybe 24, 25 years old at the time. And we get a call to do a hospice party. And this old lady, she's dying, and they're having a party at the house. Her husband's there, her son and daughters are there, her grandkids are there. It's like what you would go to like a big party. They were having a party for the mom. She was gonna be passing away soon. And I pulled up in the driveway at the house, and I remember that was one of the ones where I didn't know what to expect, taking deep breaths in, like, all right, let's go in here and let's try to do this thing. And when I walked in the room, it hit me immediately, because even in the living room at their own house, she was literally in one of those kind of hospital beds. They had a nurse on standby there, but it was funny. She had a big grin on her face when I walked in. They even gave her a stack of dollar bills to have in her lap. And I guess she had mentioned, she had never had a stripper and wanted to get a stripper. So, this is where I come in. And I did my best to have a good time. I remember dancing. It was just kind of weird because I was just kind of dancing for her, and she's laying there in the bed, and she's got pictures obviously all around of her grandkids and kids and stuff like that. And the kids are out in the back, and this time it's just kind of a handful of the adults that are there. And, I danced for her. And even though I'd like to think that I made her forget about the reality of her circumstances just for a few minutes, and it seemed like good energy, there was still this gloomy feeling. And it was just, I don't know, man, it was sad. I cried after that party. And I think about some things sometimes, and it makes me extremely sad that, I saw my own humanity in that party. That was the first party that I had done where it wasn't all sex crazy, women or young people out to just get partying on drugs, doing the cocaine off your dick and all that stuff. This girl was dying. And when I got done dancing for her, they had a bunch of food and barbecue and some picnic tables in the backyard. I had a couple beers with the husband. We exchanged numbers. I ended up talking.
How old was she?
It's been so years ago. I want to say she wasn't incredibly old. I want to say mid 70s, maybe early 80s. It wasn't, she wasn't incredibly old. I think maybe she'd come to cancer, something. I don't know exactly the disease that she had, but I ended up staying in touch with her husband a little bit after, because ironically enough, I live on the south side of Vegas, and that house was on the south side. So I would drive by their house all the time and think about this girl. And I'd send the husband texts every once in a while. And about 6 weeks later, after I did the party, I found out she died. And I would just like to think for a minute, that I gave her just a moment of happiness in that time. I was able to make one of her, what do they call it, risque, taboo fantasies come to life. And even though it was heartwarming, I just remember being really hit by reality after that party. It's like, because it seems like no matter who we are, we all mourn death the same, and we all celebrate life the same. And it's just, I don't know, man, that will always, that party's always going to stick with me.
You have more than your share of crazy stories of debauchery and
yeah, that's
nuttiness.
just typical.
But does this work ever get to you?
As far, can you elaborate?
Yeah, like get you down, get you depressed, make you feel sad about?
Sometimes it can. I don't want to say depressed, but like when you do parties like that, you feel down afterwards. Like just to kind of go in more detail, I've done hospital wing parties where I've gone into actual hospital rooms. I'm telling you what, the nurses don't like that. But I did a hospital party where the girl wanted me to come in like the Top Gun. I did the officer and gentleman with the white suit, and I came into highway to the danger zone, and she wasn't leaving that hospital. And her grandson was there. It was just me, the grandson, and her in this hospital room. I remember half the nurses were kind of poking their head in laughing. There was a couple of them that seemed like they were really upset that I was there. They insisted that she needed her rest, and she told them that she'd rest when she was dead. I remember that. And she had this great spirit, and talk about getting down. I remember leaving that hospital room, going back out to my car thinking that this girl's not going to be able to do that. She's not leaving that fucking room. And I didn't stay in touch with them afterwards, but I'm assuming that was years ago too. I'm assuming she's passed on to the other side. As far as like doing normal parties and getting depressed, like I said in the previous interview, I come from very humble beginnings, like really humble beginnings. Like my childhood was good, but it was still full of bullshit and negativity that everybody has, So when I go into these things, it's like, I don't know, man. It uplifts me most of the time. It really, really does. I like, because to me, and again, I think went into detail a little bit last time, that there's a difference between a female and what male strippers have to do. I see myself as more as an entertainer. I'm coming in and giving like an entertainment performance. I'm a huge fan of wrestling. I grew up on WWE, and I feel like I've put on this persona, this Masin Knox, and I get to come in these elaborate outfits and dance to my entrance song and put happiness on people. The only time it gets kind of really depressing sometimes is like, again, I mentioned it before, when like the girl that they're hiring me for, a lot of times it's a surprise, but usually the girls that are hiring for me for someone, they know their friend really well, and they know if they want a stripper or not. And I've been in situations where as soon as I've walked in, I've had girls start crying, saying, I don't want to, I'm burying my husband, I love my husband. I've had girls run and lock themselves in the bathroom. I've had girls run and lock themselves in the other room. And like anybody else, it's kind of weird to walk into a hired situation, you immediately feel unwanted. It's like, oh, okay. Well, that was a little bit weird, So again, I'd like to I can't think of any really down experiences. I mean,
some of the interviews I've done lately, especially with the fetish world, have shown me how dark parts of our society are. Do you have any stories of?
Yeah, kind of. I know fetish can be such a broad term. Without sugarcoating anything, and I've told this story a couple times, they're cuckolding, or cucking is what they call it, is when a husband or a boyfriend likes to watch their wife or girlfriend get fucked. Basically, there's no way sugarcoating that. That seems really popular these days. And 95 to 99% of my parties with those kind of couples are really happy. Like, and again, I'm not advocating to be a swinger, but just in my line of business, swingers seem like they're the most happiest people in the world. Like they have the most open and honest relationships. And again, the wife's usually expecting it. When I go up into the room, they're already usually in lingerie. Sometimes they'll have candles lit and they got the music already going for you. You know what you're getting into. I did a party a few years back at Caesar's Palace. And my protocol for these couple calls is I always meet them, or at least the husband, downstairs first. First and foremost, I like to sit down at the bar, have a beer with them, build some kind of energy and, feel their energy and build some kind of trust. And I could tell right away, this guy, he was whacked out. I mean, whacked out. He'd done a few, I could say he was hopped up on Red Bulls, but we know I'd be lying. He definitely, had a little nose candy for sure. And he was like, he was talking 90, people think I talk fast. This guy was fucking talking fast. And he was like, oh yeah, man, so glad you're here. Yeah, I want you to fuck my wife good. Yeah, you're gonna fuck her good, yeah. And I was like, yeah, we'll get to that, man. I'm having a vodka tonic, trying to get to know you. He's trying to rush me to the room. So again, the energy felt a little off, but it didn't feel intimidating enough for me to turn it down. So we get up to the room, and the wife is sitting there on the bed, kind of shy, and which is pretty normal at first, because let's face it, the fantasy of things can be a whole lot fucking different than the fucking reality. And I get there and I start this off like a normal strip show. I think I had my cop uniform on, something like that. I either did cop or cowboy. I don't exactly remember. Put the music on, started stripping, and it's when I got down to all my pants Velcro, so I'd rip the pants off to give her a strip show. When I got down to my underwear, that's when it started the energy really started turning. This guy was like, he was literally sitting from like me to here on the edge of the bed, and the wife's like in front of me. So he's in it, and he's going, yeah, baby, pull his dick out. Pull his dick out. And I was like, all right. And in those situations, I always let the girl take control. And I remember going, hey, if you want to, I mean, I'm just here. I'm entertainment. I'm here for your fantasy, basically. And I could tell she was a little reluctant. Like, again, the energy just didn't feel like all my other parties in the past had felt like when it came to this kind of taboo. And she pulls my dick out, and she starts kind of stroking my dick a little bit. And that's when he starts going, yeah, baby, stroke his dick. Yeah, put that fucking dick in your mouth, And I'm going like, again, hey, if you want to, if you want to, go ahead. And she starts kind of sucking my dick a little bit and giving me a hand job, but she's not, I can just tell she's just not into it. And mind you, I'm a hired performer. I've never met these people. I'm in a hotel room. I'm uncomfortable as shit. And I'm expected to maintain a hard on. This thing's, and then he says something again that I've brought up before that it'll stick in my mind forever. His exact words were, yeah, he goes, if you want me to give you a baby and you want that money that you asked me for, you better suck his dick clean now. And I was, dude, that like, I get horrible, I get those chills just thinking about that. That was, looking at this guy, and I put my dick back in my pants. I told his wife or fiance, whoever it was, we're not doing this. I politely finished my vodka tonic with a little conversation, and I excused myself out of the room. I'm not judgmental on people. I think people that know me know that I'm really open with a ton of lifestyles. But I don't think he wanted the dick in his mouth. I could tell that guy had some gay stuff, and I think he was trying to live vicariously through his wife or fiance. I don't know if they were married or not, but he definitely was really into it. He was all about my dick, and I was just like, I was thinking this whole time, like, this guy wants to be sucking my dick, and he doesn't really want his wife to, but this is as close as he can get to it, probably without being shamed, because some people think it's wrong to be gay when someone should tell that guy it's okay to be gay one day. But that when you talk about dark and taboo, that will, when people ask me like what's the kind of darkest thing, that story is always the first one that pops in my head.
And where has your career gone since last time we saw you? It's been a little over a year, right?
Yeah, I think where are we in October? And we saw each other maybe I think August of last year. So
you gave me COVID.
Yeah, or you gave me COVID.
No, you gave me COVID.
Did I give you COVID?
I had it like 3 days after you.
Okay, yeah. I didn't even know I had it. As jumpy as I was in that interview, but yeah. And
I thought I was immune to it, and then.
Oh, well, maybe you are now because we've both gotten it, and now our bodies know that how that works, I guess. But I mean, luckily we came out of it okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. Obviously, I had no idea.
It happens.
I probably went to the gym one day and it affected a bunch of people, not even knowing I had it. I just thought I was really hungover, and I woke up one morning it's the morning I called you. I was like, I can't. And I went right to my liquor cabinet at the time and just started grabbing my strongest bourbons. And I couldn't smell a damn thing. And I was like, fuck, I got the COVID. And that's when I called you.
How long did it last for you?
7 days, if that.
Yeah, that was when it was really serious. This was like last a year. Yeah.
That was when it was like a big deal.
It was a big deal, yeah.
Yeah?
So you had to quarantine for like 14 days and all that.
Yeah, I did all. Yeah, as soon as I lost my smell, I just stayed at home and stuff like that. I was taking care of my grandpa, and we got him out of the house. I mentioned before, my adopted father, my godfather, Steve, he owns Delight's Hot Springs Resort in Tacoma, California, which is like a really small town in California. So we tried to get him out there, and then, but it was too late. He got COVID.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, Joe's dead.
From COVID?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, my grandpa's dead.
Oh shit, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I just, a lot of people asked me about him on the interview, and he passed away. He passed away at 94 years old.
94.
He lived a long life, and we tried. We begged him to get the vaccine when it first happened, because this has been months after COVID had been out. This wasn't when it just happened. It'd been going on for a minute. He just refused to do it. Didn't want the medicine. He thought it was a hoax. Thought it was bullshit. And we did the best that we could with what we had. And as soon as I found out I had no smell, we tried to get him out of the house as quick as we could. But it just, it got him and it killed him. I miss my grandpa, man.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah. Sorry. He was a good dude. I really like to take care of him. Like the last time we did that interview, I remember making him coffee and breakfast and stuff that morning. I don't get to do that anymore. And, you know, when I do bachelorette parties at night, he would always be up late at night. He would always be up. He was up all hours. And when I got done, I usually get done with work about 1 or 2 in the morning, and I'd hit the McDonald's drive-thru for him every night because he always liked to get 2 cheeseburgers and a milkshake. And for the first couple weeks coming home, I remember I went to McDonald's to grab myself a cheeseburger, and I wasn't grabbing him one. Oh, fuck. I didn't know that was still down there. Yeah, I miss my Grandpa Joe.
I'm sorry about that.
It's okay, man.
So where has your career gone since then, since last year?
So same thing. I'm still doing the husband-wife thing, still knocking out bachelorette party after bachelorette party. I have, though, in the last year, since we've had the last interview in the last year, I've started doing adult films more. So I got into working for a few companies, and I got my OnlyFans page going, and I started working with other entertainers, and I've worked for bigger companies like Plug Talk. I've worked for like Groovy and Trans Angels. Like I've always openly been into trans, so I've done a lot of trans porn. So it's been great. I don't know if it's something I'm going to keep doing, but it's something I really wanted to try out. It's not as fulfilling as my entertaining job.
How does a life that revolves around sex work get to a young man?
How does it? Whenever I was a kid, I always wanted to be a porn star.
You did?
Yes, I remember when I was real young. You know, I'm going back in the VHS days. We found my friend's dad's porno collection, his parents' porno collection. They had a big trunk, and we would steal 2 or 3 porns at a time. And you could hook up remember the big camcorders that had you could hook those up to VCRs, and it was like pirating. That was the first, you could steal the tape, and I would copy the pornos, and I had a video rental service. You could rent porns for me for $5 a night when I was in middle school. And that was, and I just always thought, when I would look at porn magazines when I was a kid and when I'd see it, you would see the kind of same handful of guys, and I just thought, wow, like, that's the life. Like, that'd be so cool to be that guy, and you get to bang all the hot chicks, and they pay you to do it. Like, it was such an alluring fantasy as a kid, and just getting into stripping and stuff. I think I mentioned before, people just get a lot more comfortable with asking you to do more things, and then you meet more people in the adult industry as you go on. So I figured I'd try it out and see how I like it.
And here you are.
Yeah, here I am.
Is there no dark reality to that fantasy?
Not that the only thing I can think of dark, I haven't really experienced anything like dark on set or anything like that, but it's I'm only speaking from my experiences. It seems like there's definitely, and I get it, it's work, but to me, even being an adult entertainer and hooking up with girls over the years, there's still always a connection. You're still talking. Now in porn, there's no connection. I feel like I have too of a soft soul maybe for porn. I'm gonna try it out for a little bit longer, see how it goes, but I don't think it's something I'm gonna be doing for much longer. It's the fantasy of that to me was a lot better than the reality for me anyway. Again, I'm not knocking sex workers. I'm not knocking porn stars. Get your money, have fun, but I don't know if it's going to be for me.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah, as I've gotten older too, I'm looking for a Mrs. Knox. So
have you been in love? How old are you?
I just turned last September. I just turned 38.
38. Have you been in love before?
Yeah, I've done the love thing a couple times, twice.
It would be hard with this lifestyle.
Yes, and that's another reason why I was thinking about maybe stepping back from it, because if you do want to get with someone serious, you either have to step out of the lifestyle completely, and then there's always then you always have to bring up, I'm an honest guy. I'm an open fucking book. So any girl I kind of date now, I let them know, hey, if you search my name, I've done adult movies and I've worked with trans performers. And I remember I was dating this one girl for a long time, on and off. I'm not gonna say her name, but she was a great person, still is. I know, I love the shit out of her. We're always gonna have love for each other. But she saw our first interview, and she goes, I didn't know a lot of these things about you. And I remember I brought up back in Indiana, when I'd walked into the gay bar that first time, it was just too much too quick. And when I had told the stories about me working with trans, she was like, I kind of have the same feeling kind of about you now. I don't know. And she's kind of pushed off from me since. So, to get dark, I don't want to say ruined, but I've definitely put a damper on any kind of relationship we could have maybe had in the future by doing adult films, for sure. With her particularly. I'm not going to say that's going to be with every girl I meet, but I really liked her, man. We've known each other 10, 11 years.
There's certain careers, sex worker careers that have more of a stigma to them than others.
Yes, exactly. And porn's definitely one of them. Like girls can always get over you being kind of a stripper.
No, but even a prostitute, she does what she does for 3 years and then she quits, and it's like it never happened. At least there's no proof of it.
Oh yeah, but with me, there's going to be proof of it as long as there's the internet. You know, it's always going to be out there. Again, I'm not ashamed of anything I've ever done. I've enjoyed every performer I've worked with. I just bring them out there. Groovy is a trans company, and they are one of the coolest companies to work for. Like, a lot of the nicest people I've met are behind the cameras in porn. They're just such sweethearts and open-minded people. I just don't know if it's for me. Like I said, I'm going to give it a little bit longer, but you got to listen to your gut. So we'll see what happens. I brought up on my previous interview, I'm actually an author now. So because of your audience, I really got the fire up under my ass, and I wrote that book they're asking me about. So again, just like I'm not trying to plug, but if you want to get the book, you can get it now. It's at MasinKnox.com, and it's the Masin Knox, the true story of a Las Vegas adult entertainer. So, and every book comes with a free Audible, and I did the Audible myself, which, by the way, fucking sucked, man. When you read in your head, you mispronounce words and you know what you meant, so you just keep going. When you're trying to keep tone and your personality while pronouncing every word, I am a stripper, you know. I'm not necessarily the highly educated, the highest educated
but
man.
Reading your story is different than telling it.
Yes, and man, you become dyslexic after reading for like 4 or 5 hours. I thought they were starting to come together, but yeah, I did 2 7-hour days in the studio that were hell. And when I got done, I didn't know when you use your brain that much, you feel like you worked out in the gym. I was exhausted from those fucking audibles.
Yeah, that's why I like this format, because whatever we did today, you can't duplicate tomorrow.
No.
Or next week
this
or next
is
month. It's like, it just, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's why I only use 1 out of 5 that I do.
And I just too,
Sometimes they click.
With your show too, I'm just being me. Like I've told my audience that any podcast I go on, I'm just openly and honestly me. Like what you see is what you get. I can't take back the things I've done. There's a saying that you can go by. You can't subtract and divide. You can only add and multiply. And take that for what you will.
Yeah, I think that ability to be open and honest and not have skeletons in your closet is not only what goes over well on my channel, but it also goes well in life.
Again, like I joke around that, you know, I've heard of this magical guy named Mike. I am Magic fucking Mason. And people laugh at me, but it's like, I've done this for 16 years. I used to walk to work to Taco Bell, man. You know, my mom had kicked me out of the house at like 17, 18 years old. I was a senior in high school and had my own place. And, you know, my biological father passed away when I was like 7 or 8 years old. And, you know, my mom and I always butted heads. And when she finally got the first chance to give me the boot, she did. And that made life hard. You know, as I've gotten older, because I'm a man now, not having a support system when you're running around as a kid, it can make life a lot harder.
What was your relationship like with your mom?
Right now?
Or what was it like?
It was okay, but it was always, I don't know, man. It just wasn't that great, you know. We were always butting heads. I remember my aunt got onto her one day because she would never say I love you back to me. So I'm no psychologist, but maybe I became a stripper to get love from women that I never got from my mother. I mean, there may be a little bit of that in there. Again, I'm an open book. I'm no psychologist, but who knows? And she was hard on me, man. Like when I was walking to work to Taco Bell, my brother Brent was nice enough to let me stay. Like I had lost my house, obviously, in high school because I'm a high schooler. I don't know how to manage my money too well. I wasn't able to pay rent anymore, so I got the boot from the house I was renting. And my brother let me rent one of the spare bedrooms in his house. And he said that the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna get a job. And it was cold in Indiana, and he dropped me off. And people in Greenfield know this. There's a road called State Road 9 where all the restaurants are on. He dropped me off in snow and said, do not call me till you have a fucking job, and just kicked me out of his car. And so I was like, fuck, I gotta get a job quick. And I walked into Taco Bell and got a job. It was from his house to Taco Bell, it was about a mile there and a mile back. I know I sound like my grandpa. We walked a mile to school uphill and a mile downhill or whatever. I walked to work, and it was very humiliating sometimes because I was 18 or 19 by this time. And I was working with a lot of high schoolers, and a lot of my friends that were going to universities and doing college would come in there for lunch, and there I am in a fucking Taco Bell uniform. Again, I'm not trying to diss fast food workers, but It didn't feel good to work there, man. And I finally gotten, like, I'd saved up like 600, 700 bucks and finally was able to buy this car. And, you know, my mom at the time was still living in her fucking, you know, 2-story, 4-bedroom house on an acre of land in Indiana in a nice ass neighborhood that my biological dad built, by the way. And I'd go try to go visit her sometimes, and you know, something that'll stick in my head forever, man, is I pulled up in the driveway one day, and she knew I was working at Taco Bell, and I just got the car, man. I was like so happy. I had a car that I paid for. I even changed the alternator out and put the belt in myself. I was like, it felt good. And she looks up and down at me with a fucking Coors Light in her hand and goes, "You gonna work shitty fucking jobs and drive piece of shit cars the rest of your fucking life?" And dude, that just
How old were you?
killed me. 19. I mean, I don't even think I was 20 years old yet, man. I wasn't even old enough to drink. And it's like, fuck, man, you Russ really fucking hate me. And guess who's not driving piece of shit cars anymore? I own 2 BMWs. I have a house on the Las Vegas Strip, and say what you will about stripping. That entertainment company I work for is one of the best entertainment companies to work for, and I've come a long way, because I went from Taco Bell to working at this paper goods company called Bunzel. Bunzel's a warehouse, just your typical warehouse work. What really got me to Vegas was I going to work one day. Bunzel's been around forever, and they're celebrating this guy's retirement. I'm 21 at this point, and they were celebrating his 35 years at Bunzel. Because I remember seeing him on the cake, walking into the break room, and they had the little stupid balloons. You know, they do those little stupid office pizza parties. Fucking, that guy has a TikTok about it. It's fucking hilarious. But I walked in, and I was 21 at the time, and I was like, this guy has been at this company 14 years longer than I've been alive. Holy shit. I was like, I had a breakdown. I remember crying again, calling my brother on the phone and just telling him, this can't be me, this can't be me, this can't be me. And, you know, at that point, I'd started kind of, you know, I think I talked about it before in your last interview. I was stripping at PTs on Saturday nights during that time. And so that job made me feel really good. Like, all my problems, when I was like, I think, you know, again, like, I'm such a wrestling fan. I grew up on Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. I was there when he super kicked Marty Jannetty, you know, when he broke up the Rockers. You know, one of my greatest memories of my biological dad was, you know, he took me to WrestleMania 8. You know, I was there when Bret Hart beat Roddy Piper for the Intercontinental Championship belt, you know. You know, I watched, you know, the Ultimate Warrior and come and save his friend Hulk Hogan when Papa Shango and Sid Justice were beating him up, and Macho Man Randy Savage defended Queen Elizabeth's honor against the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And I've held on to wrestling so much, and I just wrestlers talk about how when they're in the ring, or even hear band people talk about that play music, that when they're on that stage, you're on that platform, you come through that curtain opens up. You know, for me, when I walk into that hotel suite ready to fucking go, is, you know, Magic Mason, all those problems go away. Everyone fucking loves you. They're all hot. I mean, again, people think I make shit up. Usually it's very attractive women I'm dancing for are throwing hundreds of dollars at you. Hundreds, cheering you on. When I rip my pants off, it's like a pop that you would get when if your favorite basketball team hit the winning shot at the last second. Every time I do the Velcro, wow, holy shit. It makes you feel so good. And it's like, I don't want that to stop, man. And every wrestler will tell you when they have their last match, you know, and I got more years behind me than I do ahead of me now. You know, I'm not little 22-year-old little Mason anymore. I've grown into a man. I'm 38. I got maybe 10 years left if I want, you know, and I do this because I love it. I love entertaining, Mark. I do. It's great. You know, if I was a little bit bigger and maybe had a little bit more training, I would have went out at a younger age for wrestling. I tried wrestling school once, and let me tell you, man, that mat hurts, you know, but I one of these days, Mason's gonna shut the door to his last party. And it's gonna suck, and I hope I'm in a better state of mind, but I think there definitely is something that stems from the rejection of my childhood, maybe.
As I was gonna say, do you think having a parent like your mom motivates you, gives you a drive that maybe somebody who had a better childhood doesn't have?
Yes. I really
it may be an unhealthy drive, but it's still
a drive. Like, you know, my godfather has been a blessing in my life. Let me tell you, man, I'll bring up his name. His name's Steve. Again, you know, he has 4 sons of his own. And he said when he took me in, I was just a lost puppy, is what he said. And I owe him the world, man. He's taught me a lot about the world. He's given me structure. He says, when you feel like your life's messed up and you fucked up or things aren't going your way, go to your fucking bathroom and look at that guy in the mirror, and that's the guy to blame. And going back to the drive thing, he always told me, you gotta want it. You gotta fucking want it. You gotta get mad at it, and you gotta fucking want it. You gotta want it. Get mad at it and fucking want it. And dude, that stuck with me. I remember him telling me that when that was like at the age when I was just kind of getting kicked out, and they took me in. That was like right at the beginning. Me and him sat down. He owned a carpet store in Indiana at the time. He sat down and talked to me, and it was just like, you gotta fucking want it.
I believe pain is the purest, most high octane fuel there is.
Yeah, man, because you got to get mad at it, and again, it may be unhealthy,
if you can channel your anger into achievement.
Yeah, and again,
it's
life is not perfect, man. And I'm not going to put you at center of attention, but I'm sure you've had trauma. I'm sure that the top world actors, all the way up to like Brad Pitt, Ryan Reynolds, I'm sure they've all had stuff in their childhood that everyone does. It's like one saying that really helps me get through life these days. And life is full of beauty. Life is full of suffering. You cannot control what happens to you. You can only control how you react. And man, when you really take a deep breath and let that sink in, it's, people are like, how can you not, I remember your last interview, like, there's no way this guy's this happy. Happiness is not wants. Happiness is being happy for what you have. I used to walk to work at Taco Bell. I got told I was going to work shitty jobs and drive shitty cars by my mom my whole life. I used to work at a paper goods warehouse at Bunzl, and I took that drive of not wanting that, and this stripping was the way in. When I did that first Nudes of Poppin', dude, I felt like a superstar, man. I got paid a couple $1,000s that weekend. Girls were lining up to fucking fuck me, suck me. I had trophies. My last Nudes of Poppin' I did was a few years back, but Dennis Rodman gave me my trophy and hung out with me for a minute. Dennis Rodman, man, the fucking worm, was calling me Mr. Vegas. I watched him on TV when I was a little kid. I was a little kid and watched him and Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and the Bulls back in their heyday. This guy's handing me a trophy now and calling me Mr. fucking Vegas. There's nothing more unattractive than a grown man bitching, Mark. And I've learned that from a young age. You don't bitch, you embrace solutions, not excuses. And again, I have my down days, but people have anxiety, they say, or they have, dark thoughts. That's called the fear wolf. Everyone's got it. I call it the fear wolf. And you can't let that thing out of its cage. That fear wolf you let out of its cage, it's going to start prying at all your insecurities, all your darknesses, all your childhood trauma, and you can't let it do it. Life is short, man. It's full of beauty and full of suffering. You can't control what happened to you, but you can control how you react to it. 100%.
Mason.
Yo.
Another amazing talk, man.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Sometimes I feel like I ramble on.
No, you're great.
And people say I talk fast. Again, I don't mean to break the third wall, but before we end this interview, I just like to say a few things to your audience, because I don't have time to reply to all these messages that are the comments. I just don't. And I don't want to. I'm not trying to be a dick, but I don't get sucked into that much. I'll reply to a few, but yes, in the last interview, I meant to say optimistic and not pessimistic.
You made a mistake.
Made a mistake, and no, I have a high energy. I have a heart condition called WPW, and sometimes it'll make my heart pump really fast, and I'm just an energetic guy. I don't do meth. I'm not yacked out. I know a lot of the comments are like, this guy definitely did a hit of meth before your show. It's like, no, I have this natural highness about me,
There are a lot of people that are like that.
Yeah, there are.
That are totally clean.
I do this morning, like I'm energetic. I at my hotel this morning before I came down to your studio, by the way, which is fabulous. Fucking Mark, anybody had a chance to see Mark's fabulous studio here?
I'll be moving next year.
But 2 cups of coffee, man, I'm good. I mean, I can't even handle Red Bulls, really. So, but again, I just want to say thank you for giving me a chance to tell my story. And just thank you to your audience for being so welcoming to me. Because I really thought that when I did your show the first time, I was a little iffy. Because I was like, man, these people are going to fucking hate me.
No, man,
but
you're a huge hit.
They set it up being really nice. So I always like to, leave on a high note. Like I said, like the last, I'll say it again, guys. I like to end on this. Life is full of beauty. Life is full of suffering. You cannot control what happens to you. You can only control how you react. And once you let go of your ego, a lot of your problems will go away. Peace and love.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mason.